All right, let's dive right into this explainer and build out the ultimate escalating adventure itinerary for one of the absolute most rugged and culturally dense countries on Earth, Georgia. Look, if you're the kind of traveler who wants to step way off the beaten path, someone craving a mix of dramatic natural landscapes, impossibly remote regions, and truly hidden cultural sites, well, you're in exactly the right place. Let's get into it. We're structuring this explainer as a true adventurous quest. We'll start with Phase 1, the foundation. Then Phase 2, the ascent. After that, Phase 3, the descent. Moving on to Phase 4, the wild east. And finally, Phase 5, the forgotten realms. So, Phase 1, the foundation. We're grounding your journey in ancient history. Before we scale any mountains, we really need to understand why this land is literally an explorer's dream. Georgia has been a crossroads of human civilization for millennia. We're talking about the discovery of a 1.8 million-year-old human skull in Tbilisi, which, by the way, is the oldest known skull found outside of Africa. Pretty wild, right? Add to that the ancient kingdom of Colchis back in the 2nd millennium BC, and Georgia becoming one of the very first countries to adopt Christianity in 337 CE. But what really anchors your adventure here is the living history. They have an 8,000-year-old winemaking tradition still using those ancient clay fevries, and an alphabet that's one of only 14 unique scripts in the entire world. You aren't just visiting a country here, you're stepping right into a cradle of human heritage.
Okay, moving to Phase 2, the ascent, northern mountains and remote roads.
Now that we've got our footing, it's time to climb. Picture yourself gripping the steering wheel, your knuckles turning white as you navigate these incredibly sharp twists and steep cliffs on the Albano Pass. You're sitting at a breathtaking 2,850 meters up. That makes it one of the highest, and actually one of the most dangerous, drivable roads in the world. It connects to the hyper-isolated region of Tusheti, and get this, it's only open in the summer before heavy snow shuts the whole thing down completely. It's pure, unadulterated adventure, where nature absolutely rules and time just seems to stand still. As you survive the pass and venture into another deeply isolated mountain region known as Svaneti, you're going to immediately notice something really striking on the landscape. And it prompts a pretty critical question. Why on earth are there medieval stone towers absolutely everywhere in this region? Well, the crucial point is that these imposing structures, they're known as Svan Towers, were quite literally a matter of life and death. In high-altitude villages like Ushkuli, which sits at over 2,100 meters, these towers allowed local families to survive brutal invasions. They used them to safeguard their families and their precious religious artifacts through centuries of upheaval. And because of these incredible defensive fortresses, the local people actually managed to preserve ancient customs completely untouched by modernity. That even includes their haunting multi-voice singing, which you can literally still hear echoing through the valleys today. It's like stepping into a time machine. Next up, Phase 3, the descent, subterranean hubs. Let's move from the dizzying heights of those mountain villages and head in the exact opposite direction, deep underground. Here we have a really perfect contrast of two incredible testaments to human survival. On one hand, you've got Uplist Shakay. This is a 3,000-year-old Bronze Age cave city with ancient pagan altars, wine presses, and 150 caves that served as a vital hub right on the Silk Road. Then, on the other hand, we have Vardzia. This was carved into the Rusheti Mountains centuries later in the 12th century. Initially designed as a fortress by Queen Talmar, it eventually evolved into this sprawling religious stronghold known for its stunning frescoes. Both of these massive underground networks showcase just this incredible will to survive by building downwards into the very bones of the earth. And the sheer scale of Vardzia? It is staggering. We're talking about a complex that contained over 6,000 rooms carved directly into sheer cliff faces. 6,000! That includes churches, chapels, and living quarters. To outlast brutal sieges, the residents relied on these incredibly intricate tunnel systems and a completely hidden water supply. Now, even though a massive earthquake in the 13th century damaged parts of it, wandering through these winding passages today really makes you feel the echoes of a deeply resilient medieval past.
All right, moving into Phase 4, the wild east, surviving the arid landscapes.
Prepare yourself for a pretty dramatic biome shock here. When most people think of Georgia, they picture lush forests, green valleys, and towering snow-capped peaks. But if you swing sharply east into the Vashlovani protected area, you are met with a completely unexpected world. We're talking jagged cliffs, deep gorges, and a semi-arid desert. This unique ecosystem features these striking pistachio groves, and it's actually one of the very few places in Georgia where you might spot wild gazelles, or, if you're incredibly lucky, the super rare and elusive Caucasian leopard. It's just a humbling, truly wild environment. To top off this arid region, you'll traverse the vibrant, almost Mars-like rock formations of the Scarso canyons. These are multicolored hills that have been shaped over millions of years. And right nearby, you've got to visit the David Garaja Monastery. Founded way back in the 6th century, it features these stunning medieval frescoes carved right into the desert rock. But what's truly fascinating? Monks actually still live and practice there today, right on the rocky border with Azerbaijan. It is literally a living piece of ancient history, thriving in this harsh, unforgiving terrain. Finally, we arrive at Phase 5, the Forgotten Realms, Hidden Cultural Mysteries. For the final stage of our adventure, we're venturing into the eerie and the surreal. Honestly, this is an urban explorer's absolute dream. Imagine walking through Skautubo, a former Soviet spa town where 22 grand, decaying sanatoriums are slowly just being reclaimed by nature. It's hauntingly beautiful. Then there's Chiatura. This is a dramatic mining town where rusting 1950s cable cars still ferry people across terrifyingly deep cliffs. You know, if you're brave enough to ride one. And finally, there's the Katsky Pillar. Picture a 40-meter-high natural limestone column with a tiny isolated monastery perched right on the very top. It is jaw-dropping spiritual isolation where nature and faith collide in the most dramatic way possible. So as we wrap up this explainer, I have to ask you, after seeing the extremes of danger on those high mountain passes, the brilliant underground survival of 6,000-room cave cities, the arid beauty of the Wild East, and those eerily frozen, forgotten Soviet ruins, which adventure calls to you the most? Seriously, which path of this wild itinerary are you brave enough to take first? Keep that adventurous spirit alive, and I highly encourage you to dig deeper into the incredible hidden landscapes of Georgia.